changes right now.
Welcome.
Make up these rules from?
Welcome to the Greater Meeting Podcast. As always, I am your host, Andrew, alongside my two co-hosts, Nathan and Josh, who are very excited to get through Leviticus Part 2. And we are very excited
You
to...
have so many notes on these laws that you did not have in the first half of the book.
Listen,
There's so much. There's just so
the
much
second-
there.
Not that
That's the
much.
problem.
It's not even the second half of the book. It's like the second 2/3 of the book. We only really covered the laws and the rules regarding like sacrifices and the way sacrifices should be offered, and that's built up on the second part, where we're going to try to go through the rest of the book of Leviticus, and it's really a moral law and a law that shows how the Israelites are to live with each other, live in pertaining how they're staying with their purity, when they're impure, what to do, what they should eat, how they should treat foreigners, what they should do when they're sick, when they're, it's making everything that God has for them. It's kind of making them have it involve every aspect of their life.
Almost like
so a lot of
instilling
it,
morality into them.
well, yeah, it's laws concerning ritual purity and impurity, how to discern between the two statuses, and it's a lot more interesting than you think. I know the notes seemed a little bit. I sent Nathan very many pages. I've done a lot of in-depth research in this, and I had a great time because there's a lot more to it than you really realize at first glance. But last episode we covered the first 10 chapters, and most.
That's why you asked me if I read the notes yet.
Most prominently, we covered the story of Nadab and Abihu, the two sons of Aaron, which after the priests were consecrated and they stayed in the tabernacle and they began to serve and minister, Nadab and Abihu brought before strange fire and were consumed by the Lord. And then Moses went in and kind of corrected them. God gave them ordinances as they should live. And now we continue on through chapter 11. And what's covered here is extremely important and will actually be a major differentiating factor between the Israelites and the rest of the peoples. Essentially, the main theme is
They ate
holiness.
crocodiles.
No, holiness being defined as set apart, different, right? They're supposed to be different than all the other nations and keeping themselves pure. Why? Because God has allowed his presence to come down into the tabernacle meeting and to dwell amongst them in the tabernacle. So we need to live a certain way if God's going to be around us. How do we know when we're not correct? With the law. Yes. So chapter 11 covers clean and unclean animals. Now, if you guys would remember, we covered this a little bit back in our Noah episode, because back in that episode, which episode was that? That was episode 4 or I don't remember exactly.
It's way back.
Way back, right? We covered a little bit because, like, how did Noah know which ones were clean and which ones were not clean, the birds and the unbirds? But Leviticus chapter 11 really specifies and cuts cleanly, like, what is clean, why that animal is clean, and what animal is unclean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, you hit, well, it's funny that God has to reiterate all this, because before, exactly like you said with Noah, God passed down this knowledge with Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel, well, Seth, but this knowledge was passed down what to present to the Lord as a sacrifice and stuff like that, and we talked about it before, clean and unclean animals. Mm-hmm. But I think what happened, since the Israelites were so rooted for 400 years, they were just away, and they were so rooted with different ideologies, different religions,
cultures,
different cultures, different beliefs. They were so rooted in all of that things got mixed up. And, well, technically we're not supposed to be eating pig, but because it's socially acceptable, right, in American culture, that it's normal to have bacon and eggs for breakfast. It's socially acceptable that it feels normal, but technically we shouldn't be eating it. So if society says, "Hey, this is okay," then people, even if they know that in their beliefs it's not okay, they end up accepting it because, oh, you're not breaking the law.
Yeah, and that you said it right there. One of the most famous and well-known aspects of this ritually pure and what's clean in terms of animals is, famously they cannot eat pork or a pig. That's one of them. But there's actually quite a few. Like, for examples of unclean animal that are brought up, or land animals that either do not chew the cud or like grass and stuff, or do not have a split hoof, such as pigs as one. They can't eat dogs, cats, horses, donkeys, and rats. And then famously with seafood, things, this was actually, I don't know why this cracks me up, but seafoods lacking either fins or scales, obviously such as shellfish, lobster, oysters, catfish. I don't know why I put catfish.
Abomination.
It's an abomination before the Lord. So I like shrimp though. So that's what caught me off guard is like rabbits. I don't know why. That one stuck out to me. Like, why is rabbit unclean? You cannot eat a horse because a horse's hoof is not split.
Whatever divides the hoof.
Yeah, one that has a divided hoof. Mm-hmm. See, like, for example, a camel has a divided foot, but it's not a hoof. The camel's toe is like divided, but it's not, you know what I mean? So the camels would famously be offered by different Canaanite, they would have like sacrifice. There would be a sacrifice animal that would be offered a lot.
So goats are cool. Mm-hmm. We can eat goat.
Yes, goats are actually one of the clean animals that are brought before as a sacrifice. Those are land animals that chew the cud and have a divided hoof, such as cattle, deer, goats.
What about a giraffe?
And I don't know what a foot of a giraffe looks like, but I don't think the Israelites were running into too many giraffes, nor did they know how to kill one.
What about a zebra?
Does a zebra have a hoof like a horse?
A warthog?
Warthog, I would assume, is in like the pig family.
All right, and now we get to the waters.
Lions?
Yeah, and then like,
Timon and Pumbaa?
Well, predatory, it's good that you mentioned that. Predatory animals, things that eat
Rafiki.
and consume like blood. Like, for example, there are certain birds that are unclean. Like predatorial birds, yeah, exactly, like ravens and stuff like that are considered unclean because they consume flesh. They eat off of the other dead animals, like
orangutan,
vultures, orangutans. That's no.
Orangutans
and then,
have thumbs.
Yes, I think they do. That's what makes them a monkey.
People eat crab and lobster, like sea roaches.
Well, remember that
those are technically not allowed.
All food is considered.
Yeah, technically not allowed. I mean, we eat them.
Well, they are allowed now.
Yeah, they are allowed.
What do you mean now?
There is no clean and unclean once you take yourself out of the law and underneath the sacrifice of Jesus. Like example.
Just to explain to everybody, these are the laws they had.
This is the laws of Israel, exactly.
You don't have these laws.
So, I mean, there is.
Unless you're
you
Josh,
can't just eat people. You can't just go and start.
Do you eat pig?
The blood thing is, and obviously cannibalism is still that's not even specified on here. Like, you shouldn't eat people. That's
a problem.
Well known.
That's a problem.
I think it was,
buddy.
I think it was so well known that they didn't really have to write it down. They were good.
I mean, have you ever had people?
No.
Josh?
I heard human meat's called like the white goat.
No.
Or like very,
none of us have eaten a person before. Either way. So, yeah, I mean, you can't just because the law has not really.
He's trying to change the
with,
subject really quick.
Me? Yes. I'm saying that
what's interesting.
There's still like this is still like a good guide. In other words, God gave this to the Israelites for a reason. He's saying this is the good stuff to eat. This is the stuff that you shouldn't eat. Why shouldn't you eat pig? Well, that's because we know that it's not the healthiest meat to eat. They can't sweat. They have a lot of a lot of worms, and you're just taking all of that in. And,
what's crazy is that they wouldn't have known that, but God, what we're going to see as a theme throughout all these laws and all these like ordinances that God places for the lives of the Israelites is that hygiene is huge. these specific animals, like you said, pigs, they eat trash. They're bottom dwellers. Like the fish without scales or out fins, they're at the bottom. They're eating like the bottom.
Have you
feeders.
noticed that a lot of these animals that he's saying that you can eat, like the clean animals, they're a lot of the dumber animals. Like they, I mean, think about it. Like in the ocean, you can eat all the ones with the scales. The ones with the scales that you normally go fishing for, you know, they're not as smart. But when you think about a dolphin or a whale, ones that don't have scales, you shouldn't eat those.
Dolphins don't have scales.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I'm saying that they don't have scales, but they're
Shark?
extremely smart.
They couldn't eat shark?
I don't think they had access to shark. There ain't a lot of sharks in like the Sea of Galilee and stuff like that.
What are you talking about?
You haven't heard
That's
of
all connected with the
Galilean
ocean.
shark?
I don't know. I'm sorry. That might be showing.
It's connected with the Mediterranean Sea, and the
Shark,
Mediterranean Sea is connected with the.
Galilean
I
shark.
think it's connected with the ocean. Either way, it is.
think it's
It's
not.
not fresh
I don't
water. It's salt water.
I know tiger sharks could swim in fresh water.
You know, I might be wrong there too. I have no idea. Either way.
What's interesting is also
that was interesting.
yeah.
What about octopus? Can they eat octopus?
I'm assuming not because it has
No,
neither fins nor scales, and it also looks like a demonic freaking insect.
And it's
in the
also
water.
extremely smart. Octopus is
Yeah.
extremely smart.
The octopus will eat you.
No, they don't. They're aliens.
Touching the carcass of an animal without would also make you ritually unclean until evening. Or if you found an animal, even if it's a clean animal, if it died naturally, like you just came upon a sheep and it's dead and you have to move it, touching it would make you ritually unclean until the evening. And then
Same as touching you.
insects also, where you could eat insects, specific insects like grasshoppers, which is weird, and famously like locusts and gnats, or not gnats.
You can eat locusts.
Not gnats. Which one was it? Gnats and crickets. That's the one, because crickets are like big now. There was like a whole movement. You guys remember when they tried to make like cricket protein powder and cricket based
No.
like protein?
Yeah.
That was like a whole thing here in the health, like I would say in the early or the 2010s and stuff like that. I heard about it a lot. They were like, this is going to be the future. A lot of cricket based foods. I'm like, this is not going to pick up at all for sure.
Well, because they eat it in some places.
But that's
So if you're in the
technically
wild
clean.
and you're really hungry, if you see a cricket, if you see a grasshopper or a locust, if you're brave enough, you can eat those.
Famously,
You know what's
a
crazy? So
wilderness
what's the
guide
difference
right
between
there.
a cricket and a grasshopper?
a cricket and a locust and a grasshopper.
I know a locust is a wild grasshopper.
It's the one that's gone insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's a cricket and a grasshopper?
The cricket makes the noise with its feet,
Oh, that's what it is?
and the grasshopper is bigger.
Just jumps.
I don't know. Notice how like the insects that are unclean are like ones that have like erratic movements and like can fly back and forth. Meanwhile, I don't know. I read that somewhere like grasshoppers jump in order, so they're good. I don't know why I thought that was funny, but they like jump straight.
Nice.
God's like
So you can't touch dead animals. Unclean.
can't touch dead animals without becoming unclean. They are unclean to you amongst all they creep. Whoever touches them shall be unclean as well.
So what if it dies, and you're just kind of like, this thing's in the middle of my land, and I got to get rid of it? What do you do?
You have to touch it because, like, again, an important distinction also is throughout the book, being impure or unclean for a time is not the same as being sinful or you're doing wrong, needing of repentance for it.
All right.
It just means that you have to get clean before entering the presence of the Lord, or if you're ever going to go back into the tabernacle.
That's
or,
why it's
or
called
worship.
ritually unclean.
Ritually unclean, ceremonially unclean. These are very important distinctions, because you're going to see that with the next chapter, chapter 12, it covers ritual impurity of childbirth for women pertaining to them. And actually, Nathan, I'm going to have you read a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to have you read.
Oh, well, you won't.
I'm gonna have you. This chapter is only 8 verses, so I figured you could read this one.
All of chapter 12?
Yes, read all of chapter 12.
Oh, man, I can't.
Why don't you usually pick and choose what you want to read anyway? So why don't you go ahead and surprise me?
Oh, you can't eat snakes before we get in. You cannot eat snakes.
I'm a snake.
No, we're not doing that again.
Well, I've made this abomination before. Okay, I've
You've eaten snake?
I've had snake jerky.
I'm pretty sure I've had snake.
There's so much meat on a snake, but there's also a lot of bones.
Yeah.
So I figured it would be like a good thing to eat if you're like starving. I've watched Bear Grylls eat many a snake on his show.
I guess if you're desperate enough, eat whatever keeps you alive. But if you're not desperate, stay ceremonially clean.
Put a pin in that idea, and then we're going to get back to it. But yeah, being ritually clean in this sense, you only have to wait until evening and like wash yourself.
Back up. Put a pin into it. Why?
We'll talk about it later.
All right.
But yeah, chapter 12 continues with
that's my thing now.
The Lord instructs Moses about the ritual impurity of women after childbirth and the sacrifices prescribed to them to become clean again.
Let me read it.
Okay.
All right. The ritual after childbirth, chapter 12, Leviticus. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, If a woman has conceived and born a male child, then shall she be unclean 7 days, as in the days of her customary impurity, she shall be unclean. That's a weird way to put that sentence. And on the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised.
Yeah, remember the circumcision is a big thing for the Israelites still. That's why they do it on the 8th day, because the mom cannot take the child into the temple to get it done by the moil.
Okay. She shall then continue in the blood of her purification 33 days.
Mm-hmm.
She shall not touch any hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purification are fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
But if she bears a female child, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks.
Wow.
As in her customary impurity. And she shall continue in the blood of your purification 66 days. So 33 days for one, 66 for the other.
Yep. Why?
Well, because women suck.
Why is it double for a woman? It doesn't give us a reason. It just, if you give birth to a girl, all of a sudden, that's why
it's even worse.
You just have to wait longer for some reason.
When the days of her purification are fulfilled, whether for son or a daughter. What'd you say, Josh?
I said we see the number 33. 33 is the number of years that Jesus lived on the earth. And then he was sacrificed.
When the days of her purification are fulfilled.
Is that you, Josh?
It's my heat.
Oh, I forgot you had a heater. My bad.
I will turn it off.
No.
When the days of her purification are fulfilled, whether for a son or a daughter, she shall bring to the priest a lamb of the first year as a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove
2
as a sin offering.
Bring 2 turtle doves.
No, it says a pigeon or a turtle dove. It doesn't say 2.
Oh.
As a sin offering to the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Then he shall offer it before the Lord and make atonement for her. And she shall be... Man, that's so hard to say. And she shall be clean from the flow of her blood. This is the law from her who has borne a male or a female. And if she is not able to bring a lamb, then she may bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, one as a burnt offering and the other as a sin offering. So the priest shall make atonement for her, and she will be clean. So she could bring either a lamb and a turtle dove, or
a lamb and 2 turtle doves,
or 2 turtle doves without the lamb.
Technically 3 turtle doves.
No, 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons.
Because you have to bring a lamb.
You see, you don't even know. And you know why you don't know?
A lamb.
Because we don't practice this stuff anymore.
Listen, verse 6, she shall bring of the priest a lamb and a young pigeon or turtle dove for the sin offering. So one offering is for the burnt offering. We covered the differences between the offerings last episode, kind of. And then this one is a sin offering. So yeah, technically in total it would be 3 birds. It'd be 3 birds. But this is an important distinction, and it reveals a lot, because later in the Bible, you will see that this distinction is also brought up for whenever Joseph and Mary bring baby Jesus into the temple, when they're met with Simeon and Anna. And it kind of clarifies that they're bringing turtle doves for sacrifice, kind of revealing their economic status. And if you knew the book of Leviticus and the law, whenever those type of details arise later in the Bible, it kind of gives you more of an idea of like what Joseph and Mary were like. What was it like for the childhood of Jesus and stuff like that. So
were they rich?
they were probably not rich.
So Jesus lives 33 years, and guess what shows up?
It's so quiet now.
Yeah, I know, because I turned off my heater.
If you're dying, you can turn it back on.
I mean, we're pretty cold over here.
I got it. I got it.
I think we just 60s. Don't have heaters.
We do. It's just that I don't turn them on.
Either way, Jesus lives 33 years, and guess what shows up whenever he's getting baptized? A dove. A dove.
A dove. Yeah, it's symbolizing the Holy Spirit, and some people say his baptism of the Holy Spirit, showing the need for.
You know what you do? You know what the women do though. Whenever they have to go. Remember, they have to go to the waters, and then they have to dip themselves in the water, basically like a baptism. Well,
over here they just. So the thing that makes them unclean is the blood that comes after childbirth. And all they have to do is wait those days of purification, which is just you have to wait, and then you have to bring a sacrifice. There will be others that distinguish other atonement for different impurities or cleansing rituals that require not only the washing of your hands, but washing of your whole body or washing of your clothes. It's a lot. And that's the thing. Like a lot of this is repeated. And all this, like you said, with the food, these rules and these laws that God in places for the Israelites, especially as they're going through the desert and as they become a people, will make them extremely hygienic. It will be very healthy for them. Even if you take apart the spiritual implications and the background and the meaning behind it, you see that it's something that will be great for them and their longevity and their health for their children and their generation. So I think it's really interesting.
God's also trying to keep them alive because they're about to go on 40 years of just.
Well, he knows that. They don't know that yet.
Yeah, exactly. But wherever they go, I mean, normally when you see a wandering traveler traveling through the wilderness and they show up at your doorstep, they look like a mess. They look like a bloody mess. They haven't eaten in weeks, and they're filthy and they're dirty and they're smelly. But you know what you don't see with the Israelites? You don't see any of that. It almost looks like they left their house yesterday and they walked next door and they're like, hey, yeah, we've been out here for 40 years. And then it's surprised, right? It surprises everybody because nobody expects people of that multitude traveling for 40 years in the wilderness to look, as if they've never left their house.
Yeah. Chapter 13 continues with more rituals after they finish talking about the impurity of childbirth. Moses and Aaron received detailed instructions about skin diseases and different kinds of skin diseases, when a person should be confined or declared ritually unclean by priests, what should be done with the clothing, the house infected by quote-unquote skin disease, or like it would be leprosy, really, and the purification ritual for a person healed of this disease. Now, in the Bible, any skin disease, any type of disease that was like contagious,
call it all leprosy.
They just called it all leprosy. It wasn't like one that was different than the other. I'm sure there were some rashes, but there was different rules that they would follow to be able to diagnose that. And you see the priests will take on this role and be given this responsibility, almost like a medical role as well, to diagnose and to witness, not necessarily just for the health of the individual, but for the purity and the sanctity of the individual when it comes to being in the camp with others and in the presence of God. Being unclean in this aspect is actually extremely terrifying because it's something that you can't control, and we'll see that it's something that kind of excommunicates you and kicks you out of the group, and you're kind of like ostracized outside the camp. You have to be outside of your house. Nobody can touch you. Nobody can be around you. And it ostracizes you from the community, not only God's presence.
Ostrich?
Which is funny because, leprosy nowadays, I guess, which is still around. Leprosy is still around. It's not as
I
common.
think
of a disease.
there's a cure for leprosy now. It's not like
There is a
you're
cure.
done.
There is a cure. It's not something that
Right? Am I
really
wrong?
you can die of anymore. They call it Hansen's
Disease or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
but it's
Call it
completely
handsome?
handsome.
it is curable, but it's also something that's not highly contagious through casual contact. You
Are
can't.
you sure?
Yeah. I mean, if you look
I'll
it up,
tell you.
I thought that's the one thing about leprosy is that it's highly contagious.
As a
No.
kid, leprosy.
you need to
was
be
one of those
around
big
someone
fears.
that has leprosy for a long time,
Really?
or like,
Were you guys-
or be making out with somebody that has leprosy. But
Jeez.
Were you guys
through
terrified
casual
of
contact,
leprosy?
no. What?
I was.
Like as a kid, I was terrified of leprosy and quicksand.
Oh yeah, I was, because I remember
Yeah,
watching.
you're
a
right.
movie.
It's contagious, but not highly contagious. It has to be through contact or prolonged presence. You're right.
But there are communities.
Hansen's disease.
There used to be it used to still be around even in like the 40s and 50s when it was still like a common thing. But there would be whole communities where it was just like, that's the leprosy community. And so imagine that in like the
Once
40s
you get
and 50s.
sick, you're
like,
just kicked
oh my
out
gosh.
over there. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's-
That's why
it's-
that's even a term used nowadays, like a leper. Like they were treated like a leper, essentially treated like, get away from me, you're unclean, and I don't want to be unclean just by coming into contact with you.
This whole time, I thought we're treating him like a leopard.
I've actually, yeah. Okay.
What would that even mean, Nathan?
I don't really hear that anymore.
Well, I don't know. I steer clear of leopards. They're fast.
They say like, "Oh, you got
can't see 'em.
COVID. Stay away."
Yeah,
He's like a leopard. You better watch out.
That's kind of how it was, though. That's kind of how it was. Like, if you knew that somebody would have, I mean, if you knew somebody was sick, like that, you would, hey, stay away, don't come over. Like when COVID was really bad, don't come over, or there's gatherings that are too many. They need to split apart because
well, famously,
somebody might get sick.
We couldn't have church for a while. They closed down church.
Why?
To prevent the spread of disease further.
Which church?
Our church here in Hickory, North Carolina, during COVID, they were doing only online service for like a couple months.
Yeah, that was a lot of churches. I mean, which kind of
That's what I'm
makes
saying.
sense.
During
right?
COVID, it's, you separate. And what's interesting is that they had this based on the fact that it's ritually impure. But again, that's another thing. God is separating sickness that is contagious for them, because all these, again, it wasn't just Hansen's disease, these highly contagious skin diseases that could riddle and decimate entire populations. Diseases in the ancient world were no joke. And through following God's law, again, they're almost, again, strengthening themselves, prolonging themselves, making themselves healthier as like a byproduct, as well as also being able to have access before God's presence.
So in other words, what happens if you do get leprosy? You just no longer invited into the council, or
They looked at it as if it was like given by God and you were like done something wrong. It was like, it was
I get that. That's why. That's how they
sad.
looked.
That's
at
why I
it.
said it was. That's why I said it's like one of the most depressing and one of the scariest things that can happen to you in that time in Israel. Because like again, I don't know if you could control it, but you have leprosy. Now get out of here.
Do you think that God did give them leprosy, or was it sometimes?
Well, famously,
just,
God, like Miriam and Aaron, they talk against Moses. This is going to happen.
Yeah,
here
but
at the end of
I'm
Numbers.
saying I'm saying 100% of the people who had leprosy in Israel at that time, was it given by God, or just some of them just?
I
want to
say at that time, I have a weird. I can't say for sure, but I feel like because they were delivered by God, this generation specifically, if there was impurities and stuff like that type of disease, I'm sure people got sick here and there, but that was something that was used as a punishment.
So when all of Israel would just migrate again, it's like, what do you do? It's like I'm with them, but they don't think I'm with them, but I'm with them.
Can you imagine they get attacked by like the Amalekites, like the ones that found all the weak ones? But most of the ancient world, if they saw you were sick, they stayed clear. It was like, get away from me. But anyway,
That's true.
It's funny. The only other thing about this it's not funny, I guess, but Aaron's sons out of nowhere, Aaron and his sons, they have to like begin to like, they're given this job where they have to visually inspect. And if you look at the chapters 13, and it actually goes through chapter 14, they look at the skin and they have to, it says specifically like if they have a rash, or if the skin is like white, or if it's got fuzz on it, or if it goes beneath the level of the skin, then it's leprosy. Or if it's just on the top of the skin and you think it might be, then they literally quarantine you and confine you for 7 days and check you again. And if it hasn't gotten worse, then they can kind of wash you and make you clean. If they has gotten worse, then you're declared a leper. And it goes through different skin diseases, but there's protocol in place for one that once they have been deemed a leper and they've healed, say they've naturally gotten better, how do they re-enter society? How do they re-enter the presence of God in the Israelite camp? I thought it was extremely fascinating. Chapter 14 covers that. Once a priest determined that they examined the individual and they saw that they were healed, they would examine them outside the camp. And then they would bring 2 clean living birds, a cedar rod, a scarlet string, like a red string or fabric, and a hyssop. And what would they do is the red cedar and the fabric were you most likely to represent the blood of the individual being restored. And then one bird, and they would cast lots to see which was the lucky bird. And this is something you're going to see kind of like frequently that they do. Also on the Day of Atonement, they cast lots, like they kind of like pick randomly.
What does cast lots mean?
It means they randomly select. They'll like draw straws or select which is the
gamble.
one that's good.
They gamble who's the unlucky
Gambling
one.
is
That's what it is. That's what it is.
It's literally casting lots is what it is. Because gambling is like you go and you like gain something for it. They're just randomly choosing. They're eeny, meeny, miny, mowing it.
Eeny, miny, mowing.
Or it's a gamble.
Man.
It's not a gamble because they're not betting. They're not saying, I bet that one will win. That's what gambling is.
No.
Random selection is which one will be the random one. No.
So, a good example at the airport, Josh, with that beard, is probably always randomly selected to get his luggage.
Yeah, nobody's
inspected.
gambling on Josh. They didn't know Josh was there, but
They cast lots and he always got
You tell me, in your
random
church,
selection.
if somebody got, like, let's say somebody got sick inside the church, and the deacons and everybody in like on the board kind of gets together and they're like, hey, somebody has to go to visit this family, and everybody's like, I don't want to. They're like, yeah, you know what? Let's cast lots. How would that go in a church? I tried to figure it out.
Let's play. I get it, but like that, if all the deacons are refusing to visit a sick person, there's bigger problems in that church than whether or not they're drawing. It's like,
What type of sickness is it?
It's
leprosy.
leprosy.
Are they just
it's leprosy. Someone has leprosy today.
Are they just addicted to Fabergé eggs?
What are Fabergé eggs?
That's a mental sickness.
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Casting lots are randomly, like, think about it, drawing names out of a hat.
Is it like dice?
That's not gambling. That's
Is
just
it dice?
random. No, I don't know how they would do it specifically. Maybe they were tossing.
In my head, I imagine them throwing something on the ground, but I don't know if it's like
think of
primitive
it like
dice.
a coin toss. This bird is heads. This bird is tails. They flip a coin. Random selection. Anyway, either way, one bird was selected to be sacrificed, and they would take the bird inside of an earthen vessel over running water. So it's very intricate. They have to take this bird, kill it inside of like a clay pot that's on top or over running water, and then they would dip their fingers in the blood and sprinkle it on the cedar and the string, and they would sprinkle it on the bird and the man 7 times.
It sounds like God's playing Jumanji with these guys.
And then they would
like it's just a giant board game.
They would release the living bird, and the releasing of the living bird would represent the departure of the affliction. And then they do. It's not over yet. The ritual to clean yourself is continuing. Then the individual had to wash, shave all their hair, do laundry, and then stay away from his house or his dwelling for 7 days. Then on the 8th day, the individual will offer pretty much every type of offering, like a grain offering, a guilt offering, a wave offering, a burnt offering, and a sin offering.
Because they're
come with a
hoping
bunch
that
of
one
animals.
of them might be the one, because they don't know what they did. Really, imagine you think that you're doing everything well, and now you have leprosy all of a sudden, but you don't know what you did wrong. Because remember before, it's like if you do something against someone and then you realize that you did it, then you have to go atone for it. But what if you never realize it, and then all of a sudden you're just kind of like, I have leprosy. I must have done something to anger God, and he's given me this leprosy. So now you're atoning for every sin that you probably could have made.
You're bringing, and you know what's even, they go even further. They take the blood of the ritual sacrifice and they actually include anointing the right earlobe, the right thumb, and the right big toe with the anointing oil, not the blood, excuse me, almost as the priest had it with the blood when they were being consecrated, remember? But they would take the anointing oil and consecrate them, and then they have to wash and shave one more time, and then they are finally clean. Sorry, I looked over at Nathan. He looked so cuddled in his blanket because it is cold in here. But
listen, at the end of the day, it's better that you don't have leprosy.
It's better you don't have any type of skin illness or disease that's visual.
But you can
like
be
that.
bald. You can be bald and still be clean. It's clearly
no, you can't actually. So
no, yes, you can.
They say
Leviticus 13, verse 40. It says, "As for the man whose hair has fallen from his head, he is bald, but he is clean. He whose hair has fallen from his forehead, he is bald on his forehead, but he is clean." And if there is a bald head or a bald forehead with reddish white sore, it is leprosy.
They're clean.
I mean, I shave.
Well, that's a sin. They say don't do that. If you're serving in the temple, you cannot shave your head. You have to let your hair grow as it grows.
Well, good thing that he's not serving in the temple.
None of this stuff applies. I don't know why you guys keep pointing all this stuff like, well,
first off,
this doesn't even apply today, by the way, listeners.
It's important to distinguish.
Now. It's not that important. We're really diving into the weeds.
I love it because when we're going to go over stories of Jesus, when he heals the lepers and when he goes over like why Israelites are doing certain things, a proper understanding, nobody goes over this. And I like to go over we're not diving in the weeds.
We're not diving into the baldness.
Because we can go.
All right.
We'll leave baldness alone.
Can take about another 20 episodes if we don't.
No, it can't. We're going to move on here. The final section.
We're going to have about 5 listeners left by the end of those 20 episodes of Leviticus.
Listen, the final section just covers inspection of house vessels and whether they're moldy. They had a big thing about mold, no mold. But again, healthy things, good things to keep them healthy and to keep them living long and to make sure they're sanitary.
Do you think the pagans had mold in their vessels?
I think every pagan were just sick.
Somehow
disgusting.
they all survived.
Not easily.
The Jews died quite often as well. Like you acted like they're the only culture to be clean.
I'm saying that they were pure and holy.
God was giving them these instructions so they could follow those instructions.
He was giving those instructions so that they can dwell in his presence and not be consumed by fire.
That's what they did.
Maybe the Jews needed they needed busy work, because if they're not busy for 1 second, they build golden calves and start worshiping them.
That's exactly.
So maybe God's like, you know what? I got to give these people a lot of stuff to do, because these guys are busybodies. They'll immediately worship an idol.
The first time they ever had any free time, the first thing they did without any supervision was immediately worship an idol. This is amazing.
Moses is gone.
Oh, dude. So chapter 15 covers
I keep jumping a chapter ahead.
Ritual impurity of bodily discharges.
I don't.
Nathan's sigh of just like. The Lord instructs Moses and Aaron on the ritual.
This is what it's all led to. This is actually why we started a podcast. Andrew wanted to talk about this on a forum.
Ritual impurity of bodily discharges such as blood and semen, and prescribed procedures for restoring ritual purity. Anything that has uncleanness or on it or touched by someone unclean shall be removed and either destroyed or washed. Things such as beds, furniture, clay vessels, anything for example, if there's a woman in the process of her menstruation, she's unclean. Anything she touches is unclean. Anybody she touches, if she touches a guy and she happens to be on her time of the month, that man is now unclean until the end of the day, till the evening, and he has to wash. And then he's he can't. If he was planning to go to the temple that day,
do they just have the woman give birth outside on the on,
No,
on, like, rocks?
they have it in their
Over a
regular.
cliff.
And then
They-
if she does do it on the if the rocks become unclean, do you burn the rocks?
You actually destroy the vessels. Like if a vessel, like an earthen vessel, becomes unclean, they destroy it. If it's like they go over that, you're laughing. But if it's like a bronze bowl, they like scourge it, they like burn it and boil it. If it's like a wood thing, it has to be washed. If it's an earthen vessel, they smash it on the rocks. But that's what I was saying about the birth is like the blood that comes after makes them unclean, but they go through a process of purification. Those 33 days, those 66 days, they wait. And then afterwards they stay home. The only time they can't be at home is when they had leprosy and they're trying to get restored. So they stay away
How
from
many
the home
turtle
for 7
doves
days.
do these people have?
I honestly, I don't even know what a turtle dove is.
Because
I
even
know what a
this
dove
is
is.
another
What's a
one
turtle
where,
dove?
This is another one where they have to do the turtle dove thing again.
Is a turtle dove just a dove? What is that?
I don't
Is
know.
it a turtle that
difference?
looks like a dove? I've never seen an actual turtle dove, so I'm gonna look
I don't
up
know
a
what the
picture of a
difference
turtle
between
dove.
a dove and a turtle dove is.
Oh boy.
Turtle dove. A turtle. Oh, it's basically looks like a pigeon.
That's what it is. That's why I
Is
say
it a
or
bigger
pigeon.
dove?
A European turtle dove. Oh, it looks very cute. Look at that.
Turtle
That little
doves
bird.
live in Europe
can't
during
see
breeding
them all the way over
season,
there. It's
and
far.
it's
Doesn't that look cute?
I
and
still
in
can't see it.
sub-Saharan
Okay, that's rough.
Africa during winter.
I can't see. I still can't see it. That's your ball to be all the time.
So they must have been in sub-Saharan Africa because that's where the turtle doves go in the winters.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they had a lot of turtle doves, but
are the turtle doves like what the pigeon is to New York?
sure.
The turtle dove is to them?
I'm assuming. I'm definitely assuming.
It would suck to be one of those animals, like you're born to just be an animal that's like, yeah, you're kind of just used in sacrifice. Like, you're a fill the landscape animal. You're not essential
Be
to much.
sacrificed animal.
You're
That's
prey.
really all it was used for, sacrifice. You can eat a turtle dove.
Understanding this chapter
What do you
helps
think
us
it tastes
understand
like?
the story.
Chicken?
Probably, yeah, like chicken. It's a bird. I
I
think
was
all
just going to
birds
say,
taste
like,
chicken.
another example of the relevance of this chapter and the book of Leviticus is understanding this and why it was something to be not worried about. But later in the book, in the Bible, in the Gospels, we have the story of the woman with the issue of blood, and we saw
she was unclean.
But imagine being years and years of not being able to touch anybody, whether she had a husband or a family or her home or something like that. You couldn't be around anything because anything you touch becomes unclean. So you're almost like a leper, and she can't control that. So that level of desperation where she crawls just to touch the hem of the garment, it has greater gravity and implication behind it because you understand this law and why it would have been so serious for her. You know what I mean? Today, if you have a lady that has the issue of blood, like if she has an issue like that, you're not allowed to go to church. You're not allowed to be around your family and stuff like that. Like imagine that. That sucks. So
What if a guy gets cut and is just bleeding everywhere?
you're unclean till the evening.
Oh, but what about
Just
all
wait
the
till
stuff?
that night? Right. Some of them you just have to wait till the evening.
Yeah, but what about all the stuff
seems
that he
to be
gets blood
the
on?
great reset button.
That's
in
why
a lot
God
of these
made day
situations.
and night.
Maybe that's why God sent Jesus, because this was a lot of stuff, and there was just not enough turtle doves to go around anymore.
You're
Or
absolutely
evenings.
right. The blood of Jesus completely satisfied every sacrifice, everything that you would need to be clean and pure and have access to go into God's presence to reconnect. That's another thing about the book of Leviticus is it shows how important and how awesome Jesus' sacrifice was. And if you read the book of Hebrews, it correlates to the book of Leviticus very beautifully, and understanding the book of Leviticus can really bring more light to that. So I recommend that to you guys who are listening. Read the book of Leviticus and then go and read Hebrews.
Read it once.
It's
Check
really
it twice.
awesome. Now we go on to chapter 16, which is pretty much the I would say the
Wait,
centerpiece of the book of the law.
You didn't want to get into the bodily discharge of semen?
We can. I was going to a little bit when Nathan kind of shut me down. I mean, that's so there's voluntary bodily fluids and there's involuntary bodily fluid. Obviously,
Basically,
discharge of semen is voluntary.
You just wash it off and wait a couple days.
Yeah, you just wash your clothes, you wash your bed, apparently, and yeah, very hygienic. A lot of washing, a lot of laundry, a lot of cleaning your house. Like anytime you had to discharge, you had to go take a shower. Essentially,
they were the first to gym tan laundry.
Gym tan laundry?
GTL.
I don't know what that is. Oh, gym. Go to the gym. Tan. What? I don't know what you're saying.
Gym. Go to the gym. And tan laundry.
I'd never watched.
Whatever. This is
so long ago. It's so old. What was that, like 2005? When did that come out?
Like 2011.
Oh, I was old enough.
Anyway, they did a lot of laundry.
A lot of cleaning, a lot of pure.
They had rules for the discharging, too.
Could you imagine living your whole life and everything is set around these, like, can't do this, can't do that, can't do this, you have to do that, you have to wash this because I did that.
We live our lives like that now.
Yeah. I don't know why I just did that, but yeah.
Nice, okay.
That's great audio content. I can't wait till we go back to stories.
Yeah, dude, we got to get to something happening.
We do have a story in this one.
That they should read. I mean, yeah, they should read.
No, it's extreme. I love it personally, and I did a lot of research and notes.
Guys, Andrew loves everything, so that's not a big endorsement. I'll tell you the real endorsement about Leviticus. You should read it, right? once.
Here's the big endorsement. Read it once, maybe.
It's a lot of laws that
you
don't follow today.
If you want to know God better, if you want to know the Bible better, it's a good book to know. Now, at the center of Leviticus, like I said, Moses receives the instructions from the Lord about the Day of Atonement. The one day a year when the priest, or the high priest, I should say, would enter the Holy of Holies, that innermost part of the tabernacle behind the veil where the Ark of the Covenant resided. The high priest offers at the tabernacle sacrifices for himself, his fellow priests, and all the people to atone for their sin. God actually comes to Aaron in a weird way here at this chapter 16 and reminds him of the death of Nadab and Abihu.
I don't think he needed a reminder of that. I think they vividly remembered that events.
Yeah.
I don't think that one didn't stick out. It's like, hey,
remember the fireball that engulfed your children? Yeah.
You want to read it? You want to read chapter 16, verses 1 through...
Bro, there's 34 verses. What are you talking about?
This episode is not going to be a big read this episode.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. It's fine.
There will be a little bit, but essentially he comes and they die.
Do you want to read 34 verses?
No, I didn't. That's not what I said. I was going to say the first 3, but essentially what God does in coming to him and telling him, hey, Nadab and Abihu, tell your Aaron, your brother. I have to pull this up here. I'm sorry.
Tell Aaron, your brother, not to come at just any time.
That's what it is. I'm sorry. I had to go between my notes and the Bible.
Before the mercy seat, which is on the ark, lest he die, for I will appear in the cloud above the mercy seat.
Okay, so the big thing about that, and it gives an implication as well to kind of like...
What's a mercy seat?
The mercy seat is on the Ark of the Covenant, was this box constructed, right? That was made of acacia wood, overlaid with gold. It had 2 angels on top. We talked a little bit about this in Exodus when we were talking about the construction, but the angels had their wings over, leaning like towards the center, and then there was this flat area that inside there was the tablets of the covenant. And this flat area would be like a seat, like a mercy seat is what it was called.
And God is residing above it?
And God's presence, the smoke or the cloud would come into the Holy of Holies, and that's where God's presence would reside, inside the tabernacle with the Ark of the Covenant, with the commandments, the law. And what he says is that you're not supposed to just come there by reminding us of what happened to Nadab and Abihu. We take away, or some people can take away, that was another implication as to why they were burned up. They might have gone into the Holy of Holies anytime. They just walked in there however they wanted.
It's first off, it's very interesting that God chooses. I mean, like if you think about it, God chooses to show up and just hang out there.
He
Second thing
comes
is,
at specific times. His
Yeah, but
presence
it's
is there all the time. It doesn't just choose.
I mean,
His presence was there the whole time while they were in the wilderness.
Yeah, but no at the same time. Yes and no.
Yes.
Because
There is no yes and no there. This is an absolute, like, read the Bible, he was there. That's why they knew when to get up and leave in the desert. When the smoke would get up and leave, they would follow it. And the presence of the Lord was a smoke rising up from the tabernacle all the time, day and night. It wasn't like it would just show up. That's why they couldn't just go back over there.
Because he would show up.
No, because his presence is there all the time. If they just walked back in there anytime, it says, well, you can't just come here anytime you want. You can come, Aaron can come there, but once a year when offering the atonement sacrifice. That's why this is so important. He's given such meticulous instructions so that he knows the proper time, the proper way.
Then why does it keep saying, like, it even says it here, why does it keep saying that I will appear or I will come to the,
What do you mean?
I mean, it says that if he shows up at any time, he could die because I will appear in the cloud above the mercy seat.
Yeah, because he's there in the cloud.
Him
shows appearing
up in the
means
cloud.
like his presence is like you will see it and you will be destroyed by it. Just like the fireball was him that consumed those two people. It was there always. That's why a fireball came out.
But that's the confusing part, right? Because if they come in at any time and God's always there, it's just that that's
God's always
that's
there.
The thing
they can't come in any time. That's the whole point.
God's
that's the whole
always
point
there,
of everything.
and they can't come in any time.
That's why they can't just show up at the tabernacle anytime in any way they want.
Because God's always there.
Because his presence is there, and so you have to be pure when you come before him. Otherwise, what happened to Nadab and Abihu can happen to you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This might be a little late in the game to ask this.
Sure.
How big was this tabernacle thing? Is it like this room big?
I'll show you later. It was big enough. It was long. There was a court.
I mean, I'm just saying because I think most people would like, how big was this place you're talking about? That God's presence resided.
So,
like the size of a bedroom?
Yeah.
Like a master bedroom or primary bedroom?
If you want to go back, you can listen to the detailed outline when you tried to rush. Actually, I remember you tried to rush through this whenever I was trying to give the outline of the dimensions for the tabernacle, specifically.
Rush through it.
But I'll give you the exact dimensions. I don't need
the exact dimensions.
Well,
Give me
it was
an
a room.
estimate.
I said there was an outer court, and you can
people could imagine this.
You can Google it. It's very easy to Google.
Let's tell them
I'm
now.
not gonna. Okay, there was an outer court, and there was an inner court, and then there was the tabernacle, and then there was the inner of.
I'm talking about the tabernacle itself. I mean, not the outer.
That all is part of the tabernacle. That outside, everything had significance. There was basins outside. There were places where women could go.
The place this guy's talking about right here.
The Holy of Holies was a room. Imagine like this
a
room.
bedroom.
Yeah, imagine this room right here. It was a big room. It was very
like a
high
house
ceiling.
with a bedroom in it.
Kinda. It was like, imagine a big church and there was a wall and a curtain and there's a wall behind that curtain. Or there's a room behind that curtain.
A bedroom.
Yeah.
Could you fit a queen size bed in there?
Yes.
King size?
Yes.
It was a big bedroom.
Yeah. Well, you look how big the Ark of the Covenant was. It was a big box. It wasn't like a little
So in other
box.
words,
That's another thing. People don't know. How big was the ark? Was it like in the movies big?
Yeah. It was like the
a
size
chest?
of a table. If you ever you see like that, well, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, I don't know how many feet, I forgot, but it was big enough to where four people had to carry it. They had rings, they had these poles, and there would be four people that would put the pole on their shoulder and they would walk with it. There would have to be the Levites that would carry it.
Okay. That's all I want to know. I know it was inappropriate to ask. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I have to be prepared with the actual dimensions. It's hard to remember.
See, that's the thing. I don't want the dimensions because that's not going to help me.
Well, I have to have the dimensions
Visualizing
so that
a bedroom helps me.
I understand, but if I don't know the dimensions, then I don't know what to compare it to. Does that make sense? Like, I don't remember specifically what to compare. Like, I do, like, a big chest, like one that one person can't pick up. But
you're talking about like a chest, not your chest.
Okay. Yeah.
What I'm gonna go back to, just to reiterate, God is omnipresent, and I think that's what a lot of times I have trouble like logically thinking about. Right? It's when I imagine, God dwelling in there, it's like that's the part of me that's like, well, why? Like, why would he go and dwell in there? But then I also have to remember that he is omnipresent. He can take a part of himself. He can put it, not even a part of it, because he's he can take a part of himself and basically like his presence can always stay in the temple and always stay there, and he is still everywhere. So it's not technically like his physical self being in there, but his presence is there, which I don't even know how to explain that. You're having trouble
reconciling with the fact that he's everywhere, but he's also especially in there.
It is kind of hard to imagine, right? It's like, it's easy to just say it, but then once you start thinking about it, it's like your brain.
I don't understand
explode.
what's so hard to understand.
Because either he's everywhere or he's not everywhere.
The physical presence, obviously the smoke represented, or the cloud represented the physical presence for the Israelites. It was his physical manifestation of his presence. Now, being, like you said, a God that is omnipresent as well, he is everywhere, but can also be physically in one place for you to realize.
Yeah, but don't you remember that there was a time when God left, right? I think it was in Exodus.
Yeah, God's presence.
At the end of Exodus,
that
he
cloud
chose to leave.
left. He left the center of the camp because of the sin.
So he was no longer there, even though he is omnipresent. He is everywhere and nowhere, but he chose to take his presence away from them. So it's just like, do you think that God's presence is in your room right now?
Not in his, in mine.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, like, he can choose to have his dwelling in there, or he can choose to leave.
What?
It's really hard to explain. There is no.
It's like a
answer
philosophical.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like a
so
paradox.
At the end of the day,
really
you could look at it in the Garden of Eden, right? God came and asked Adam where's everywhere. He's walking through the garden, but was God everywhere? But how was he walking through the garden then?
Exactly. That's what I mean. He is God's DNA is technically in everything. Every atom, every molecule out there is because he made it all. It's everything is technically him, right? But his presence, his actual presence, right? If I make, like, let's say us talking right now, right? We're not physically in the same room together.
Well, me and Nathan are.
You guys are, but I'm not in the same room with you guys. So I'm not physically there, but we're able to see each other and talk to each other, right? But if I was to show up over there, then my physical presence would actually be there. But right now, it's just kind of like my vocal presence and my visual presence. That's it. But it's not my physical presence.
Okay, so imagine this. So we are God's creation, and we created this technology that allows us to see and talk to each other in different rooms across thousands of miles. And God created us. And God's a million times more elevated of an intelligence than we are. What type of technology do you think he can do? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So God is able to be physically in one spot and
see and hear everything.
Everything at the same time.
Yeah,
I mean, we're able to do this, and this is normal to us now. But this is witchcraft back in the day.
No,
you know what I mean?
Burned at the stake.
You're right.
So now multiply this by like 1 million, because that's what God is. And God somehow has the ability to be physically in one spot and everywhere at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
That's a really good way to put it.
All of this is the copycat version of basically how it's done in the heavens, I would say.
Yeah, and I came to that because Josh literally just described it right then when he's describing it. This is what we're doing. I mean, I can only imagine God could do this too, even better.
Better, yeah. That's probably a good way to look at it. I would take that for sure.
Yeah. Onward.
Dope.
We have a lot of videos to cover.
I mean, you're the one that stopped and needed the clarification.
I'm sorry that we're talking about.
No, it was a good
talk
point
about the Bible, but it's okay.
No, it was a good one. It was a good clarification because you're right. I mean, God's presence is here. That's kind of the whole crux of the entire book of Leviticus. But it's like, I thought God was everywhere. And you're like, I never even stopped to think about that. So I appreciate that. You're like, how is God everywhere? But then his presence is here. Why is that important? But yeah, as I said, the center of Leviticus, the Day of Atonement.
Well, the Day of Atonement.
Known as
kill the goat of the sin offering.
No, stop. The Yom Kippur, it's also known as, it's more than just kill the goat of the sin offering. There's 2 goats, and then there's also a couple birds. It's a lot. It's very meticulous. It's very specific.
Careful.
That's why you have to.
There's a Jewish mafia, and they will come after you if you say the wrong things.
The high priest is to bring, like I said, the proper sacrifice at the proper time in the proper way, and then God made a provision for a proper entry into his presence, because you can't just walk into the Holy of Holies. Regular priests were to wash their hands and feet in preparation from the holy basin, and then the high priest, which was Aaron at this time, was to wash his entire body in preparation. After washing, he would wear very specific vestments that he would only wear for this occasion once a year. He would then offers a bull sacrifice for himself and his house before beginning the work on behalf of the people. So he would sacrifice a bull, and then we have the part of the 2 goats. He would take 2 goats at the door of the tabernacle, and again would cast lots to see which one would be sacrificed as a sin offering and which one would be presented to the Lord alive and would take on the role of what's known as the scapegoat. You guys ever heard of that? We think we said that last time.
Yeah.
The one that would essentially be released into an uninhabited wilderness. Then Aaron would take the bull sacrifice and enter the Holy of Holies, and would take burning coals from the fire of the altar and place them into the censer, which was that item that they would use to that smoke would rise up from. And he would place that before the mercy seat so that specifically the smoke would cover the mercy seat continuously. It's supposed to represent the continuous prayers of supplication before the Lord. Now, notice that he took smoke or embers from the altar, right? Embers from a specific place instructed by God. This is another thing that was with Nadab and Abihu. We mentioned that they just took a strange fire or a profane fire, meaning that they probably took fire from a source that was not from the specified place here in chapter 16. So they entered into God's presence at the wrong time and with the wrong thing, without instruction, and that's where the anger of the Lord rose up against them and consumed them. Exactly. That's why it's so important to understand that crazy sounding story, like God just smote these 2 guys. Well, this gives us clues as to, like, now that God has these instructions, that's probably one of the reasons why he didn't like that. He would go in there, the smoke would be rising up before the mercy seat continuously, and then he would
mercy. I'm just playing.
And then he would take the blood of the bull and he would sprinkle it on the east side of the seat itself, and then 7 times he would sprinkle the blood before the seat, and then he would do the same thing with the blood of the goat that lost the game of chance and became the one that they would sacrifice. Then he rubs the blood of both the bull and the goat on the horns of the altar. So the altar itself, where they would do the sacrifices, had these little horns that would like swoop up on the corners. And the altar, the size of the altar was I'm just kidding. And then he would also sprinkle 7 times with the blood to consecrate the altar of the uncleanness of the people. After this is done, Aaron would lay both his hands on the scapegoat's forehead, on the head of the goat. In verse 22, it says that the goat shall bear on itself all the iniquities to the uninhabited land, and he shall release the goat into the wilderness. So there would be a specific person. It says to select a appropriate individual that could take the goat out into the wilderness, into an uninhabited land outside of the camp, and he would let it go into the wilderness, casting off all the blame and the sin to be departed from the people. And then Aaron has to change, takes off the proper vestments he wore in the Holy of Holies, and he would wash his body, change his clothes to finish the sacrifice. The individual that takes the goat will also, when he gets back, he'd have to wash his clothes and his body before re-entering the camp, alongside with those who took out the burnt offering offal. If you remember back from the other episode, there were specific parts of offering and the sacrifices that they wouldn't burn, like the skin, and there are certain things that they would take outside the camp and burn. So those people would have to wash themselves before coming back into camp. And then this was done on the 7th month on the 10th day. And the Israelite people were supposed to, on this day, afflict their souls. The meaning behind this is they were supposed to feel remorse and sorry for the sins that they committed over the course of the year and do a whole ritual sacrifice and to be able to be pure before the Lord once again, taking atonement. And that's it. Thank you for letting me finish that. But that is how
that was.
There's more.
I read ahead. So I'm on like chapter 18. Boy.
We don't have to go too much into it, but I think it's important to notice.
A lot of sex stuff. There's a lot of sexy time in this Leviticus.
How far are we in right now? Are we an hour in?
You're 16. I'm at 18. I read ahead because I'm like,
you're good.
You have monologues.
That wasn't a monologue. That was explaining the Day of Atonement. Very important. Extremely important.
I hear a lot about that, left and right. Everybody keeps talking about this Day of Atonement. I don't even know what is it about. I'm just playing with you. Yeah.
I'm sorry for explaining that.
You don't have to apologize. It's good stuff. I like it.
This is the book of Leviticus.
The sanctity of blood. Are we going over that in the 17th?
Yes. So the rest of the book of Leviticus, chapter 17 through 27, will cover a code of conduct.
Let's get to the juicy 18, though. But let's 17.
I got 17. You. Marked by the refrain that's repeated, "I am the Lord." These chapters of Leviticus are commonly called the Holiness Code by biblical scholars. These chapters are concerned not so much with sacrifice and ritual purity and impurity as like what we covered up until now, but they're more like with ethics and social status, social living, and holy living. Social studies, yeah. Chapter 17 covers the slaughtering of animals and eating of meats. Instructions are given to how they should slaughter animals. And again, eating a naturally dead animal, like if you come upon like a dead elk in the woods and you just eat it, you're unclean until the evening. Or if you find like a lamb that was killed by wolves and you try to eat it, that's unclean.
I mean, that's just
it's unclean,
anyway.
But at least you're not hungry anymore.
But you have to like wash your body on this one. You don't just wait until evening. Chapter 18.
Yeah.
The Lord gives instructions to Moses primarily about prohibited sexual practices and warns that the land will be defiled and blighted, like completely decimated, if the Israelites engage in such behavior.
Can I read from verse 6?
I would, yeah.
Can we just read from verse 6 on? To give you guys the birds and the bees.
Here we go.
According to the Bible, the Bible's version of the birds and the bees, right? Mm-hmm. None of you shall approach anyone who is near kin to him to uncover his nakedness. I am the Lord. The nakedness of your father or the nakedness of your mother you shall not uncover. She is your mother, you shall not uncover her nakedness.
Remember.
The nakedness of your father's wife you shall not uncover. It is your father's nakedness.
Noah.
The nakedness of your sister, the daughter of your father, or the daughter of your mother, whether born at home or elsewhere, their nakedness you shall not uncover. The nakedness of your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter, their nakedness you shall not uncover, for theirs is your own nakedness. The nakedness of your father's wife's daughter, begotten by your father, she is your sister. You shall not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's sister. She is near kin to your father. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your mother's sister, for she is near kin to your mother.
Are you going to read this whole thing?
Yes.
No.
You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's brother. You shall not approach his wife. She is your aunt. I like how you finally said aunt at one point.
Your father's sister.
You shall not uncover the nakedness of your daughter-in-law. She is your son's wife. You shall not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your brother's wife. It is your brother's nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter, nor shall of a woman and her daughter, nor shall you take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter. So this kind of gets confusing.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on you reading.
They are near of kin to her. It is wickedness. Nor shall you take a woman as a rival to her sister to uncover her nakedness while the other is alive. I just wanted to get to, there's a certain verse. I wanted to get to verse 22. You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination.
Okay, thank you, Nathan, for
that's what I wanted to get to. Is verse
the Bible's
22.
Leviticus stance on homosexuality. Thank you.
Verse 22. Just to let y'all know. I mean, it's very clear cut. It's not like it's ambiguous in what is right or wrong
So
when
the
it comes to that.
sexual immorality is famously another thing that once there was the Council of Jerusalem and the apostles sat and discovered what of the Levitical laws or the Jewish culture should newly converted Gentiles adhere to. This chapter of sexual morality is one of the few things that they're like, hey, do this, be sexually pure, be sexually moral. And again, like Nathan just read, they're just forbidden relationships that they're made to set them apart from the other nations around them.
Let me finish though with 19 and 20. I'm sorry, dude. Also, you should not approach a woman uncovered nay, as long as she is in her customary impurity. But more importantly, 20. You shall not lie carnally with your neighbor's wife to defile yourself with her, and you shall not let any of your descendants pass through the fire to Molech.
Hold on, don't go that far yet.
Oh.
Slow down.
It's a neighbor's wife.
That's why I was saying, chill out. Specifically, these rules are made to place the sanctity of a well-kept relationship and holiness in not only the family life, but like you said, the neighbor's wife. And like, obviously they're not related to you. Why would it be a sin for you to be with that individual? Well, it's because that could cause a dissension between you and your neighbor that can cause strife and conflict, and it would disrupt the peace. And not only is the family dynamic supposed to be holy and pure, it's supposed to be help with peace and united. Besides the fact of the genetic implications of incest and the problems of deformity that comes and the likelihood of those type of things, which again, another cool thing that they wouldn't have known genetics back in the Old Testament, but not lying with your, sister or the father with a daughter or uncle and stuff like that. Or
your grandchild.
Yeah, that's disgusting to be just without even the law of Moses and
all
without the Bible itself.
It's bad.
Most of it is well known, but I like that they clearly defined it in rules. Like, hey, don't do that. You know what I mean?
Don't lie with an animal.
Yeah, no bestiality. Really important. Women should not have. They specify women over there for some reason. Like, a woman should not lay with a beast.
And also, don't be gay.
Yeah, and the chapter ends with the abominations, and the effect would be they'll be punished. The land would be destroyed that they're promised, and to the point where they'll actually be removed from the land. Now, what I want to get to is, you're right. Oh, they do mention Molech there, but it's also further on. They go more in depth into it.
20, yeah.
We're going to kind of fast forward a little bit so we can get to that, because I do want to talk to that. But chapter 19 covers aspects of like the Sabbath, sacrifices, agriculture,
not important. Sabbath,
respect for elders, the treatment of different foreigners,
not important. You don't have to respect your elders.
Justice and legal matters in the market. Yeah.
Don't prostitute your daughter, guys.
He says, God says in 19 verse 2, you shall be holy, for I, the Lord God, your God, am holy. God wants to be the sole source of guidance and direction and an example for his people. So he specifically condemns consulting mediums and different witches and warlocks and things like that were very, very prevalent in the ancient world.
It's so crazy. We're reading this stuff, and today's society, this stuff is so like weirdly the norm. Like
it is normal now, but it was still normal back then.
You could still drive down the street, and I've seen to this day
psychics everywhere.
A psychic, like a thing with the hand on the windshield,
well, like the energy stuff. Like you have good energy, and now
we'll get into
Ariana Grande's a witch, and she's just openly a witch now.
I thought she was she played a witch.
No, now she's openly a witch.
A lot of, just like how I said to you before, that a lot of television, a lot of TV, not a lot of it, all of it, all of this technology isn't. I want to say that it's not from God. This isn't given to us from God as
technology.
As a good thing. Yes,
you're against technology. I'm genuinely asking.
I'm not. It's funny because I'm
just
not
said technology is against.
I like my GPS.
I'm talking to you via technology.
Yes, technology is obviously something that helps people. Right, it helps us. It's the betterment of humanity. But you got to remember that even with the Tower of Babel and all of this, God
Babylon
is not it wants his people to follow God, not to follow the internet, not to have to like, oh, I don't know what this means. Let me go to the internet. I don't know what to do, because we're falling into a time where we're no longer really dependent on God, and we're able to. You want to live a long time? Hey, just go to the doctor, do a bunch of stem cell surgery, get a bunch of this stuff, and you want to look younger? Hey, go get Botox. It's just all these different things that are clearly, not natural and not reliant on God.
Having a blood boy is not natural?
A blood boy?
Yeah, somebody donates their plasma and you run it through your body, keep your organs young.
I've never heard that before. A blood boy?
You need to watch. There's a documentary on Netflix called "The Man Who Wants to Live Forever." It's about this. It's a guy.
A lot of this stuff that we do now,
himself.
A lot of this stuff that we do now was technically considered witchcraft back in the day. Right?
Well, yeah, a lot of
obviously we talk about the internet. I mean, but if you look at even in the medical practices.
Would you say that like someone who doesn't know God based on his word and study and laws, like in Leviticus, but consults like the internet and Google, would you compare that to someone that runs to mediums or other sources for guidance and knowledge without ever actually picking up the Bible or praying? If you believe,
I mean, yes, but if you go on a deeper level and believe that the internet is tied with old world gods and demons, and AI is contributing in that and stuff like that, then yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
There is,
so our church is in Romanian and English, and there was like a talk, we had a meeting. We do translations. If it's preached in Romanian, we translate to English. If it's in English, it's translated to Romanian. Because we're, again, Romanian church. A lot of people are first generation. It was so funny to hear the backlash from people when there was a suggestion brought up that there's so many AI powered devices that you can put in your ear now that translate exactly real time with a slight delay. But once people heard that it was AI powered, there was like a lot of people that were like, no, I don't want that. And I was like kind of taken aback. And it took me a second. I was like, is that bad to have in church?
Okay, look at it this way. Look at it this way. All of this, everything is of God, right? Exactly like how I said before, molecules, atom, everything that we have is of God. So even when God gave Noah the instructions to build the ark, he gave him the instructions to build the ark. That was from God. When man decided to go build the Tower of Babel, that was not from God. But yet man's ability to create was still there, right? Well, so Noah he was creating with God's instruction. But the men, like if it was Nimrod, right? Nimrod building the Tower of Babel, that had nothing to do with God. That was Nimrod wanting the betterment of man and how to basically do more for humanity, which in essence isn't a bad thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Think about it. But it is wrong at the end of the day, because that's not what God wants. God does not want us to rely on the other human or on the internet or on doctors to save us. Not that it's bad, but that's not what he wants. I don't know why that's not what he wants. But for some reason, he wants us to rely fully on him.
He wants to have that relationship with us to be our sole source of guidance and of not only morality, but spirituality, family, everything. He wants to be our God. He wants us to worship him. But I don't think it goes to the motivation behind the creativity, because man's innate nature is to create. It is to be artistic, to change, to develop, to advance. I don't think that's a bad thing. But like in the instance of the Tower of Babel, you have instances like the Noah's Ark. He was given instructions for a specific purpose. I don't know if Noah was instructions. He was
like
crafty.
How we see in Leviticus.
You're right.
Specific instructions.
But just like Bazeziel was given the ability and the desire to create, and he was creating the temple, or the tabernacle. it's the motivation behind it, right? The Tower of
Yes,
Babel, they were motivated
it's the motivation,
to be like
but God gave
for
the instruction.
for self-glorifying, for pride, for humanity. Like, I am best, I am Superman, I can create, look at me, I am God, I am creating life, I am creating AI. That in itself is sin and wrong.
Aaron's 2 sons that died,
and Abihu's,
they did not follow the rules. Now, we talked about it before. Oh, maybe they did it. Maybe they grabbed a different type of fire to try to make the fire bigger, or who knows what it was. But because they did not follow God's rules, they were killed.
Some people think there might have been. There's a couple of thoughts, but yeah,
there's a couple of thoughts.
That's what I think it was, because the Bible.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing now. It's where God can take anything and use it for his glory, because at the end of the day, it's all his. So, if the enemy creates a weapon, it's like, AI could be used for so many good things, right?
I love that you said that, because like later when it goes, I'm going to skip ahead here, but it's fine because we'll probably go past it faster. But in the year, there'll be a year of Jubilee that every they'll give a law in chapter 25 that talks about every 50 years, if you had to like sell your land to pay a debt and you were still paying on it, it's restored back to you. If you were in slavery because you had to pay off a debt, you're given your freedom. People's debts are erased. People are restored back to normal. It's a year where everybody goes and cleans a slate, essentially.
Imagine if we had that in America.
Well, here's the thing. God specifies it in a specific way. He uses this word that really touched me when I was reading, is like, do not sell the land. It is mine and I gave it to you. So we as people have this understanding or this preconceived notion that because I'm here and I can do this and I can do that, we forget that the fact that we live and that we breathe, it's because God gave us that ability. God gave us that life. God gave us what we have. And in my opinion, everything I own and everything I've achieved is because of God's grace and goodness. So when we try to take ownership of that and pride in that, we forget that God is the one that gave that as the source of that. And that is an affront to him and a sin to him. And we shouldn't have that type of idea. It's even the people. They are my people, he says in 25. I can give them, I brought them out of Egypt. I brought you all out of Egypt and given you freedom. I delivered you. So you don't have a way to say, if I say on the 50th year, you make everything right and put it all to zero, you do that because I am the Lord. And I thought that was kind of cool. And you kind of mentioned that. So that made me think of that. But yeah, you're right. It's definitely food for thought, and it goes really, really deep.
All right, go on to Molech.
Okay, so chapter 20 or chapter 18, we covered chapter 18. Sorry, we
covered chapter 19.
Chapter 20 covers more sexual immorality and the punishments behind it. A lot of it is stoning. A lot of it is stoning and putting to death. But it covers something in chapter 20. Where it's like, let me see exactly the verse. Molech is brought up again. And it's funny that Molech as a god is
5.
Verse 5. Nathan, if you want to read it.
Actually, verse 4.
Read it specifically a little bit.
Actually, verse 3.
Okay.
Actually, wow.
This is fun.
Let's just go first 5 verses, man.
Yeah.
Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, again, you shall say to the children of Israel, whoever of the children of Israel or of the strangers who dwell in Israel, who gives any of his descendants to Molech, he shall surely be put to death. Mm-hmm. The people of the land shall stone him with stones. I will set my face against that man, and I will cut him off from his people, because he has given some of his descendants to Molech, to defile my sanctuary and profane my holy name. And if the people of the land should in any way hide their eyes from the man, when he gives some of his descendants to Molech, and they do not kill him, then I will set my face against that man and against his family, and I will cut him off from his family, and all who prostitute themselves with him to commit harlotry with Molech.
Now it's interesting that I'm sure there was many deities and gods worshipped by the Canaanites and the Phoenicians in that area that inhabited the land of Canaan, that God specifically over and over says, do not be defiled by the rituals and the practices of the inhabitants of the land that I am bringing you into. Specifically, Molech is named as a warning because Molech itself, and this is again one of the first times it's mentioned, was a Canaanite deity of sacrifice in the underworld to whom many sacrifices were offered in order to gain either financial prosperity or success or some type of like success in your family or what's the word? Like being productive, reproductive success. Fertility. That's the word. I'm sorry. For fertility. And it's just a really I don't know how much research you guys did. I kind of told you guys about it.
I'm about to get in on some of this. Don't worry.
I know.
I didn't do any on Molech.
So the name itself could be translated to, I'm not going to go into the translation, but the personified ruler of shameful sacrifice.
What's the translation?
Well, there's Molech, there's Melech, there's Melk, and then there's Molech.
Oh, you didn't want to get because it's boring.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Not
so,
you're
but
scared to say
essentially, the image of the idol of Molech was a giant metal statue of a man with a bull's head, and usually there'd be a large basin around the torso or the body. It'd be like a big belly with many doors and a large door in the middle where they would be able to light fires. The hands of the statue would be spread out like as if to receive something, and when they would light fires inside the basin or at the bottom or behind it or around it, the arms and the hands would become like red hot, and it would become like super hot. And what it would be like passing your descendants, when the Bible says that, or passing it through the fire, essentially it was referring to the child sacrifice that was often done in service to Molech. What they would do is when they would get hot, they would, and this is again a little warning alert, this is kind of graphic, but they would take the infant or the child and they would either place it on the hands of the burning statue, and they would essentially burn the child alive as a sacrifice. There'd be loud drums that they would drum almost to drown out the screams of the children, and they would also either put them in the hands where they would burn, or they would actually toss them in the openings in the holes for the fire, and that would be pleasing to the god of Molech, who would then in turn bless the one that's offering the sacrifice. They would be allowed to enter into, a lot of them had like a door or a pathway between the fire that you can go inside, and they would call that, they would be able to kiss Molech or find a place where they can go all the way to the inside and commune. A very disgusting, very depressing and sad thing, but a lot of people in that area sacrifice to the specific god. And later on, even in the Bible, some people consider that Baal, the god Baal, was connected, and we know that the Israelite kings such as Ahaz and Manasseh in 2 Kings, you'll see, were two kings who sacrificed and were influenced by the Assyrians to worship Molech on the hillside site of Topeth, outside the walls of Jerusalem. And they found these areas where they would worship Baal, even in the areas of Canaanite dwellings, that they found like ashes and of like children's remains and animal remains and stuff like that. So they know for a fact this was something that was done. King Solomon even later would like some of his wives would construct the temple to it. And while he didn't specifically build it, he's like one of the things that he allowed to happen. He saw it and was just like, because he had so much going on, this is one of the reasons King Solomon fell out of grace. It's kind of scary. I don't know.
All right. I'm going to get into Moloch for a second.
All right, you get into it then.
So you're right. Moloch and Baal are basically tied together. Just like how we see that the enemy is not just one person. There's multiple enemies that we can have. But just like how with God, we see constantly like different names. We see, I am, we see Yahweh. We see different ways that he describes himself and that his name is called. Obviously, he has one name. We just don't really 100% know what it is, but it's there somewhere. But the enemy does the same thing. They have different names. You have Moloch, you have Baal. You have, even nowadays, they come and they conform and a lot
Planned
of it
Parenthood. What? Okay.
You're right. A lot of it is the spirit behind that can take form, right? Mm-hmm. So when you allow something to take form into your life, like an idol, that spirit can basically take control of you.
Well, it's that same spirit that they called this back then that same idea that they worship maybe 1,000 years later, which is still ancient to us, called under a different name. If they do the same thing, it just kind of evolved into that. But that demonic influence behind
Well, think about it like how we have the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit lives inside of us, right? Why would the enemy would copycat that and do the same exact thing? Whether it's nowadays, you can say that it's your phone, right? Your phone basically being a black mirror, but that's a different thing. I'm not going down that.
What's a black mirror?
The show.
It's the show, but a black mirror is also.
I never
kind
saw
of
that
like,
show.
I'm not getting.
Why are you so angry at me for?
Irritated right now.
Why?
All right. Back with Moloch. Moloch is exactly how you said, Andrew. Basically, a god that thrives and that receives more power. The more you embrace him, and the way that you embrace him is by child sacrifice. Remember when I said before about?
I'm gonna let you finish. Sorry.
Child sacrifice is is basically one of the most purest forms of evil sacrifice that you can do. You're taking something extremely innocent.
So much.
It means a lot.
It's like the people that were offering child sacrifice. I don't think that they didn't care. I think it was because it
meant
so
a lot. Exactly.
Yeah.
The greater that's the one thing. If you look it up with Moloch and it goes with everything. The greater
it was
the
ultimate
sacrifice,
example of devotion. Yeah.
Yes. So that's how he gets more power. Moloch gets more power the more you the greater the sacrifice it is that's given to him. I don't know if you remember before when I was talking about the elf version of Santa Claus, and it's just how Santa Claus is. I'm not really bringing this too much into it.
I might have missed that completely.
But remember when the more people that believe in Santa Claus, the more power Santa Claus has, and he's not able to fly his sleigh because people aren't able to believe in him. So then Elf goes and runs around and starts like, "Oh, believe in him," and people end up believing in him, and then he's able to fly his sleigh again. But,
I remember the movie, but
okay,
finish your thought because I have something to say.
And exactly with a lot of these demons, a lot of these spirits, the more you give into these spirits, the more power that they have over you. And not only the more power that they have over just you, the more power they have in general. So even with Hollywood, whenever they do these things, and what I was talking about before about like the television basically being like a vision, and it's basically like a giant form of witchcraft. And sometimes you're not even seeing it. We see it with music now, right? That the beats are awesome, and you're singing to a song, and basically it can end up being some sort of a chant, and you're playing with fire, and you're not even knowing that you're getting burned. So, getting back to
the influence it has on you, listening to music and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Another cool thing I'm bringing in. This is hypothetical, but I'm just bringing it in. Kind of, it's interesting with Elon Musk. One of his name changes on X was he called himself General Kekius, and he changed the name of his the picture of a frog. Now, Kekius is there's a old god called Kekius, and it's basically it's the frog god. It's the frog god of the abyss. Now get it. Stick with me here because we just saw what happened in Egypt, right? With all the plagues. Mm-hmm. And God is going after each god individually. We know that these gods, throughout time, they change their name. So imagine if you lose a battle, now you're coming back as a different being, and you're basically reinventing yourself constantly. Now, Lord Kekius, which is the frog god of the abyss, is basically a creator god, but it's a false creator god. We know that there's only one creator, and it's God in heaven. So this guy is a false creator god, and we know what does Elon Musk do? He's creating like this false universe basically with AI. He's getting deep into that. Now, the frog head, so Lord Kekius is depicted as having a frog head and a cat. And if you go deeper into that, it basically it ends up also being bald. So it's Baal.
So
and we know
I
that
was about to say you had to go somewhere with that because I don't know what the heck you're
Baal,
talking about anymore.
Baal is tied with Molech, and the way and dude, I mean, we saw with, I mean, everybody forgot about it, but we saw with Epstein's Island. There's this huge
What? No, continue. I'm trying to
the
listen.
whole idea of child sacrifice throughout with all of these Hollywood people, with all these people with extreme power. There, a lot of these people are involved with child sacrifice, and maybe that's how they got to the position that dude, you have to be completely blind nowadays to not have heard of the conspiracy that the way to get power is to sacrifice somebody, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, rich people have blood boys.
Well,
I need to look into that.
Oh,
Like they use young people to donate their plasma, and they run their blood through their body to keep their organs young.
I didn't.
It was a
realize
joke on a TV show called Silicon Valley, that one of the characters in that show was a billionaire and he had a blood boy, and it was like a joke, a throwaway joke. Not really a throw, but it was a joke in that show. But turns out it's more real than you think. A lot of these big time tech billionaires have blood boys.
What's the word for like child blood that they used to sacrifice? Like I think they say celebrities sacrifice to get
andromacreme or something like that.
Adrenochrome.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, like that's like the high that you get off of that and the respiration.
No, I mean, here's what I feel. I mean, from just ping ponging off of what Josh. I feel like a lot of these old gods are still worshipped
in different ways.
In different ways,
yeah.
They just like manifest. It's like they're worshiping these same demonic deities throughout time. Like Molech back then was manifested one way, but today's manifestation is just something different. I mean, we worship, like, technology obviously is the biggest idol on planet Earth today, right? Like, that's
technology.
Yeah, and technology,
social media, like video games.
Yeah, all this stuff is just kind of that kind of takes your focus away from God,
reality,
and your family, under the guise of like, oh, just helping you cope, but like. There's a story in the Bible, and we went past it whenever Israel. Well, did we get there when they were bitten by the snakes?
No, we haven't got there yet.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Or what the cross represents and stuff like that.
The serpent on the bronze serpent on the staff. Yeah, no, we haven't gotten there.
Whenever you constantly are like trying to escape your own reality and not face, it's not a good thing. That's what the devil always wants you to do, is to just like not. Cope with reality, and like you get your attention taken away from what's actually happening, and distraction.
Yeah,
it's like he loves distracting you.
That's another thing. It's like
sexual distract. I mean, what other way to sexual perversion, and that's like the ultimate like distraction for most people, right?
It's usually an indicator of like a crumbling society, is the loss of like the family values and sexual morality
and child sacrifice, because children are. That's why is this? Because like children are pure, like so pure,
innocent,
and it's like an innocent. And,
well, I don't think it's an accident. The Bible says that we are to be like children in our attitude and our spirituality.
And I feel like ultimately Lucifer hated Adam and Eve because of their innocence, because they were so pure and so innocent. That he just deceived them, right? He deceived Eve and deceived Adam, and these gods are still real. I mean, whether you want to believe it or not, these are not conspiracy stuff.
No, and I agree with Josh on everything except for I don't know too much about the whole like the demons get stronger. I know they have more influence over you and in your life, so they can seem stronger, but I don't think that they have an ability to gain strength to a level that they could ever be more than what they already are. I have to look. I might be wrong.
People believe that they get stronger.
I know. That's what I'm saying, because they
do crazier things.
Exactly. And Josh is saying like the more you
God clearly says to the Israelites, "Do not sacrifice your children to Moloch." Now,
Not because he's afraid of them getting stronger.
Not because he's afraid, but he also, I mean, it could be, hey, stop feeding his power.
That's not what it is at all. I disagree with that. If stop feeding his power, it'd be like, eventually, theoretically, then it could get strong enough to compete with God. You know what I mean? Like an individual that can grow and then take over the world. I think more of it was just, it's straight up evil, and it's like, it's the most opposite. The purity and the respect and the reverence for life.
Look what Lucifer did. Look what Lucifer did in heaven. He took 2/3 of the angels and wanted them to worship him. Why? Could it have been because maybe he
I don't think it's because he could get more powerful, but because the angels themselves were swayed or persuaded, or
I don't know. What if it is that? What if it is when you worship something, just like how we nowadays with these celebrities, the more attention you give a celebrity, the more powerful they become, and the more they're able to do.
That's the whole, like Neil Gaiman's American Gods is the same idea. Like the old gods are losing power because they're not worshipped anymore, versus the new gods. You see that. Right? You see that in Greek mythology too. And you'll see it if you watch a movie. I mean, Clash of Titans. Some of these gods in those movies, they did not have the power that they used to have because the people stopped worshiping them. There's ideas in popular culture that kind of support that. I get that.
But those ideas come from somewhere.
More research on it.
Those ideas, they're old ideas too. They're not new ideas. They're old ideas.
I know that.
So where do they
that's
come
what I'm
from?
saying. I'm not saying I disagree 100%. I just have to do more research into that and really substantiate that idea of like the strengthening of spirits, other than like its influence in your life. Obviously, the more you sacrifice or the more you give to that, it'll have more of a hold. But there is evidence today, like Nathan was saying, and like you were saying, like a lot of people compare Moloch, especially if you ever listen to Alex Jones or something like that, but with modern day levels of comfort in society with abortion and Planned Parenthood, the idea of sacrificing your child or killing your child before it's even born for your own like life and happiness and quote unquote for your own personal freedom or for your own gain. It's the same idea of sacrificing a child for, prosperity or for freedom or for some type of financial gain back then. And then when you die, or when the child is passed away or taken out of the womb, it's people consider it the same thing. Like you said, that spirit that was behind it was called this then, and it's called this now. There's definitely a correlation there. But either way, I mean, the penalty for it is death immediately. Eradicate and eliminate it. God is not tolerating it whatsoever. And it's definitely a lot of food for thought to evaluate your life today and to figure out, what spirits are you giving credence to?
In the Sumerian tablets, I'm not citing that as a fact at all, but with the Mesopotamian people, they we're hitting a good time.
Oh, I just can't see. I need glasses. It's very small.
We see that the Babylonians kept records, and if you look at some of the Babylonian texts, you'll see that they had giants and they had monsters and stuff like that. But then also with the Sumerian tablets, they talk about I don't know if you've ever heard of Enki and Enlil. Enki and Enlil, basically, it's a different creation story where it's like these aliens come from a different planet and they're looking for a working race and there's a good guy and there's a bad guy. That's what the story of Gilgamesh.
Yeah, Enki and Enlil, and then that's
not the whole thing. That's one of the stories.
It's a long tablets. Yeah, it's a long, complicated story.
Moloch is one of the children in the Sumerian tablets. Mm-hmm. Moloch is one of the children of Enki or Enlil. Mm-hmm. One of them, the bad guy. So Moloch is worshipped by the Sumerians, and it's not even. What's funny is that it's not even tied with the Hebrew, mindset. Now, they all see the same thing, but sometimes when you look at it at a different angle, you write down a different story. So the Sumerians, they look at Moloch and they worship him as a god, and that's why they basically the Israelite and the Hebrew people clash so much with this ideology, because they don't agree that these guys are gods. They look at God, the one in heaven, as being the creator of all, not all these little lowercase g gods, which all these other people are worshiping because they can see them. So, yeah. So
let's move on
that's
from
it.
Mullings. I feel like we
that's a lot.
I know.
It's fascinating that it was named by name in this book. Like out of all the stuff, it was specified. But anyway, continuing on, and we're going to kind of, the rest of it's again more laws concerning holiness. In chapter 21, we continue on. The Lord gives laws to Moses for the priests specifically to maintain a higher level of holiness than the rest of the people and the general population. Like I was saying earlier, no shaved bald head or touching the dead unless it's a close. Sorry, just don't shave your head if you want to be a priest.
I'm not a priest. By Jewish tradition.
And then priests also had to specifically marry virgins. They can't marry like someone who was married before.
Feels like they probably added that rule in.
They must wear proper garments and not uncover their head or tear their clothes, specifically specified there in chapter 21, which is interesting because later when Jesus is taken and given on trial, remember how the priest tears his clothes out of anger? That itself is a sin and like a defilement, while they're incorrectly or unjustifiably trying Jesus. Anyone of the descendants, this is an interesting point.
We still have up to 27 chapters in this thing?
A lot of these are going to go a lot quicker. Anyone of the descendants that has a physical...
it's a lot of chapters left.
I know, but I'm telling you.
Well, you stop with this really interesting thing about this chapter.
Well, anyone that has a physical defect may not approach the veil or offer bread. Like, they can't serve fully. Like, if you were born lame or you were... had something...
Yeah, I don't want to see ugly people serve. That's that's a universal thing.
God specifically was like, no, don't do that.
Andrew, we're at an hour and 55 minutes, basically. There's no, or 50 minutes, I don't know what it is. We're almost at 2 hours. There's no way we can hit this many chapters.
Well, I don't even have a lot. Like, for example, chapter 22 is more about the meat sacrifice. I'm not going to go into the meat sacrifice.
Okay. Are you not?
No. The liturgical calendar in chapter 23, the Lord instructs Moses about the festivals. I already went over a lot of the festivals, but I'm not going to go into them deeply.
Yeah,
but
it looks like there's a bunch of
Passover.
Yeah,
the
Feast of
first
Trumpets,
fruits. Exactly.
The
festivals for the
Feast of Tabernacles.
You could read through for the exact dates. All it does is specify the dates and when they should be. They should be
24 is
celebrated.
Talking about taking care of the tabernacle lamps
and the bread and the showbread specifically.
Yes.
That's reason. And again, what I tried to do is through all these chapters is give reasons and places in the Bible where they would be referred to in famous stories. Like, for example, David in 1 Samuel.
Blasphemy.
Hold on. David in chapter 21 of 1 Samuel famously eats the showbread. And that was like, there was a debate, like, did he sin? Why did he do that? We'll talk about that more later, though.
When we get to David in 2027.
Yeah. Now, the only real story, and that's really what I wanted to do, because we talked about the year of Jubilee and then the sabbatical year, which is the rest. And then God, obviously, he ends the book with blessings and curses and vows and consecrations. Like, if you obey, you will be blessed. If you disobey, you'll be cursed, and all the way to exile from the land, which you'll see. But God does make a promise to have mercy on the Israelites and to remember the covenant he makes with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because he already knows they're going to sin. And that's through 26. But the only story narratively from this part of the Bible would be technically in chapter 24, where you have the son of Shelomith. There was an Israelite woman who married an Egyptian man, and it says in chapter 24 that two people came in, their son and another man came into a disagreement, and in that disagreement, at some point, the son of this Israelite woman of the tribe of Dan blasphemes, curses the name of God in some way, and the Israelites essentially don't know what to do. They don't know how to respond to this. And they take him captive and they kind of hold him and they're like, well, let's see what God has to say about it. Essentially, what God instructs Moses for the punishment of blasphemy would be the ones that heard, that he would be taken outside the camp And those that heard what he said and how he blasphemed were to lay their hands on his head, or lay their hands upon him. And then the entire congregation has to stone him and kill him. Blaspheming is a death penalty offense, which is taken very seriously.
Are they stoning him while everybody's touching his head?
I'm assuming they touch him and then they back away and grab stones. I think it'd be kind of hard to throw stones while they're covering him because it's tough. But this is also a famous chapter in the Bible that covers like where you hear an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, happens in chapter 24, verse 20. The law is about restoration, and the law is like if you kill a man, you're put to death. If you maim that individual somehow unjustifiably, then you will be maimed in that same way. If you break his leg, your leg will be broken, etc. Eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. It's just, these are the rules, again, like I said, for the conduct and moral code that the Israelites will live by with their people. And that's it. That's the book of Leviticus. I mean, the last chapter
is about Sabbath. The last chapter is about Sabbath. The last.
How about the law concerning slavery?
He's trying to skip over that real quick. He doesn't want to talk about it.
Where? That's what I was telling you about earlier, about in 25, about the year of Jubilee and the law in which they should take slaves and who they can buy and who they can't.
I didn't hear you say that earlier, but okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear.
Well, what I said is that in the year of Jubilee that they would be released.
That's all you said. In the year of Jubilee.
Also, in Jubilee, they're always released.
Yeah. Man. All the slaves that, like, if you sold yourself into slavery because you couldn't pay your debts or something like that, or you were taken or anything like that, you were given freedom in that year.
Oh, okay.
All debts are erased. All slaves are let go. Land that was repossessed would be returned to their owner. But slavery is big, and they talk about that a lot as like, oh, Bible co-signs slavery, and it's okay. But again, I think we've mentioned slavery when we talked about the Egyptians, that the type of slavery was different back then than it was in terms of chattel slavery in America with the Africans and different other peoples. Like they weren't. Not all cases where, especially like they were supposed to treat.
Yeah, these guys were not kidnapped and then, hey, you work for me now, and you have.
There was also laws like you couldn't just kill them or beat them or treat them as they had like rights, human rights. So it was a different level. Obviously, slavery isn't good, but again, it was a societal norm throughout all of human history, and it's something that's well known. I mean, if you really look at it, there are certain jobs and positions people are put in today that is the same as someone who would have been, quote unquote, a slave back then. You know, if you're tied and you can't go anywhere and your whole family works there, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But for the specifics, if you read through Genesis, if you read through Leviticus chapter 25, it'll kind of cover all that for you. But the concluding statement of Leviticus sums up the entire setting for the whole book, in my opinion. The last verse says, "These are the commandments that the Lord gave to Moses for the people of Israel on Mount Sinai." And that concludes the Levitical book of the law that we will cover in the way we will cover. Obviously, there's a lot more to it. It goes super in depth. And we could stop on each chapter like we did in some certain parts and talk for an hour and a half and debate and kind of discover what the reason behind it is. But what we wanted to do with this book, covering it, especially since we're a Bible story podcast, is reveal its importance and relevance in the rest of the Bible, to reveal reasons and motivations behind certain characters and their actions and their lifestyles, and to kind of understand more about God and his character and how he how he distinguished himself before the people as holy. And I don't think that's changed. And that's really my greater meaning for the end of the episode and for all of all of Leviticus, is that the Lord, I am the Lord. He repeats his phrase multiple times to the last couple of chapters. He is holy, and he demands that we are holy because he is holy, set apart. We're not different today just because we're under the sacrifice of Jesus. We are still called to be separate. We're not called to be confined to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds, by the changing of our understanding, by separating ourselves from the status quo and holding ourselves to a higher standard. And I believe that's relevant for us today, even if we don't stay away from shellfish. You know what I mean? Like the specifics like that. Josh? I keep it short. My
greater meaning for the book
so mean to me today.
Leviticus is read Leviticus because I have it's all there. I can't just come up with something on Leviticus.
Josh is fried. He's
God is omnipresent. He can be everywhere and do what he says.
That's a good Gary meeting.
That is a good Gary meeting, but Leviticus is just it's too much. It's so much.
It's like level 10 Bible. It's like you really like you want to get to another level. You like that's like one of the ones you have to go through.
Yeah,
like you could
it's Jumanji on another level, man.
It's so loud in my ear, like metal clanging.
I'm sorry.
Oh, there is a cool part that we didn't go over, and I guess I'll talk about it.
Is this your greater meaning then?
This is his greater meaning.
There was a part where if a stranger comes into the land, and that you should not treat him as a stranger. Treat him as if he was born amongst you, as if he was an Israelite, basically. You know,
yeah.
Give him the best, and I want to. That's just the character that we saw of how Abraham was, right, and how Lot was, right, when we talked about when they were staying by the city gates, and Lot, whenever the angels showed up, and Lot accepted them and wanted to treat them as best as they could. That's just how God made them, and how God instructed them to be, is to take care of the strangers, to take care of the people who can't take care of themselves or don't know where to go. And I like that God put that in there, that, hey, if somebody comes in, don't just treat him like a stranger. Treat him as if he's family. You know? And I mean, think about it. Whenever you go to somebody's house and they treat you like you're part of the family, it does something to you, right? It makes you feel at home. So do that.
Yeah.
Treat everybody like they're part of the family.
Jesus famously later says that the whole of the law can be summarized in these two commandments: love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as you love yourself.
There you go.
Treat others with love and then love God. Like that's.
I love that
exactly
Jesus.
Right. That was beautiful, Josh. I don't think you realize how awesome that was.
But thank you.
So we read the book of Leviticus, and
we did indeed.
We went over like the law. My greater meaning for the overall book of Leviticus, I mean, it kind of came to me as we were going through, like, because I was thinking like, what am I gonna phrase, at the end of this? People worship gods like Molech and Baal. People worship them people worship the gods of today, whether it be, finance or capital, like whatever. I could be super hipstery and be like, oh, finance,
capitalism, bro,
whatever. They sacrifice their time for it to get ahead, right? For security, for wealth, for riches. And that's what those gods promise you, right? They promise you fertility, or they promise you the wealth of the, instant gratification and things like that. And it's like, does God ever promise you anything when he demands that you worship him? It's not like God's like telling you, hey, if you sacrifice this stuff to me, I will make you guys rich. He told them they're going to be rich before they even sacrificed anything to him, right?
He promises.
Did you ever think about
life.
that?
He does. There is a part where he does say, if you do this, I will make you blessed.
Yeah, but he said that to Abraham.
No, I'm talking about to the Israelites.
Yeah, to the Israelites now, but he said that to their forefathers before he ever
did. I mean, he said, I'm going to make you as the descendants as...
The blessing was there before any of the sacrifices were demanded, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Whereas these other gods, they're demanding the sacrifices to get your instant gratification. But there's something that God also gives you that he didn't have to, right? And and something that those other gods and that Satan and Lucifer can never wrap their heads around. God was willing to put himself, obviously, so low into human form and sacrifice himself to be our sacrifice. And I said this before. I think I said this in the very first episode. I don't think Satan can even comprehend that like never once saw it coming, that God was willing to take on human form and die. Like, that's something that Lucifer never saw. And that's why Lucifer's so mad. It's like, I never saw that coming, that the creator, because Lucifer's whole thing was he wanted to be the greatest and worshipped and be this, and probably was an amazing and beautiful angel to where it took a third of the heavenly host with him. I mean, think about how majestic and how glory this creature was, right? And like to put himself at the same plane of God in his own head, and then to see God in his glory, because Satan's, I believe, seen God's glory, to just humble himself down to human form and die for his creation.
Yeah.
Which is like, so like, what are you doing? Do you not, why, but I mean, I'm going off on a different tangent, but we get eternal life through Jesus Christ today. So, I mean, a lot of this stuff with Leviticus, it's not that it's not important. It's important to read because it ties together in different parts of the Bible. But I'll tell you one thing. Somebody asked me at work, like, do I believe that somebody could truly sell their soul for success? And I think it's very possible to sell your morals, and sell your convictions and things like that for success. You always tell yourself, I have time to fix it tomorrow, or I have time to redeem myself, and I have this redemption arc eventually, but I'm just going to do this now. And you bend the rules a little bit, right? You say this lie here, you cheat a little there. Or even if you go so far as to make a pact with the devil, it's lunacy to me, because time just ticks on by, and this life is so short. And then you have an eternity. And I was making a joke about it. Can you imagine making a deal with the devil? Like, you have a carpet cleaning company, and you make a deal with the devil to be a billionaire. And you're like, for a carpet cleaner, like, to be a successful carpet cleaner, you're going to, because if you make a deal with the devil, obviously eternity is real. So you're going to make a deal with the devil for this instant gratification. And now you know that if the devil's real, obviously God is real. And so and people still choose that path today. That's what blows my mind. It's like, if you're compromising your morals and you're doing these weird chants and worshiping these weird entities, then you know that there is a Jesus that's real. This is not something that we fabricate or somebody fabricated years ago. And the fact that people still lose their souls to this stupidity is beyond me. I don't really have a greater meaning. Just please don't sell your soul. Don't sell yourself short. That's really my greater meaning.
You're really worried
Nathan's
about our listeners selling their soul.
No, I am, because like you say that it doesn't happen, but it's like the older I get, the more I realize actually it probably
I just
happens
gave a whole
lot.
Spiel on how it happens.
People do it.
It happens a lot, and it's so sad. Like, bro, if you're doing, just worship Jesus, man. Like, whatever. Like,
this idea of like sacrificing a child just makes me sick to my stomach.
Well, it's these are real things that we're still doing today. It's just a different format. But it's like the same problem.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what an abortion, and it's crazy to me that
these individuals we look up to,
we actually have debates on whether something like an abortion is wrong. That's so insane to me. Like, what is wrong with you?
I was going to get into that too, about the God that's in charge of all that, and how. But yeah, that's another.
I mean, we covered a lot. Yeah.
That's all.
Anyway, guys, thank you for listening. If you stayed with us this far, thank you for listening. And by the way, this is the secret part of the episode. If you stayed this far, I'm going to give you a code.
Uh-oh.
A179. You enter that. You text that to the phone number. I'm just playing. There is no secret code.
But I wanted to see how far you would go. Text that. Email us that code, and you will get a free sticker.
Andrew will give you $100,000.
Andrew needs $100,000. So, thank you so much for listening. And that is the book of Leviticus. Super excited because next episode we get into Numbers, which doesn't sound like a lot, but a lot happens narratively.
Oh boy, Numbers is very boring too in the beginning.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. I read it.
In the very beginning?
Yeah, it's literally numbers. It's literally a census.
No, not in the very beginning.
It says I think the first verse is there shall be a census.
No, it says take a census of all the people.
Yeah, it's like literally like the first verse.
Oh gosh.
When we get there, we'll get there. But hey, we made it through Leviticus.
There's so many
That's
verses
a
in the
huge
first chapter.
accomplishment.
It's like it's very
Leviticus.
This is where it gets good, guys.
The chapter says the first census of Israel.
Oh man, no, a lot happens narratively in the book of Numbers. They finally pick up their journey from the Mount Sinai into the wilderness. Well, they'll spend 40 years. But thank you so much for listening. As always, if you like what you hear and you want to support us, please like, subscribe, give us a 5-star review, share us with your friends and family, and follow us on all social media platforms where we are at. And yeah, can't wait to see you guys
Bye.
again next time. Bye.
Bye. Bye.